Hello everybody, I have a few games that I salvaged from the recycling pile at a used game store. Um, these are a couple of N64 games, a Game Boy Color game, and then a cheating device for the N64, which might come in handy there. So I have Twisted Edge, Mario Tennis, and this one is Mario Golf. The first one here, which is the snowboarding game, wasn't really too interested in it besides the fact it was labeled as not working. When I pulled it apart, I was not very happy to see the rust, but it turns out that wasn't what was wrong with it. The PCB had a bunch of broken traces, so two broken traces down here, and then the ground plane on the front and back were busted. I could take the board and I could like move it and sort of get stuff to come on the screen. So I was able to transplant it onto another board. I was able to repair that one. The next one here is Mario Tennis. This one was a little more challenging to repair because it had a lot more chips to be migrated off the other board. But this one was obvious what was wrong with it. Completely just busted up card edge here. Missing part of the PCB. This one here, the Mario Golf, which I believe is a game that you can put into the cartridge pack used for the N64, like on Pokemon Stadium, for example. That was the most popular use for it, but there's a couple of games, Mario Golf and Mario Tennis, that had an additional like features. Like Mario Tennis, it gives you a few extra game modes, I believe, and a couple extra characters, and you could play your Mario Golf characters on the console, which is kind of neat. This game probably won't have the save feature working for a while. I have to get a battery holder and battery for this. I have a couple of Pokemon games that I got to do the same thing to. I also had a trace come up, or more of a pad that came up, so I had to replace the resistor that was there, which I couldn't really measure, so I'm guessing it was just a little link there. But I was able to repair it using the trace that was right next to it, which is going right to the battery. So I think this is the memory chip right there. And then the Game Shark Pro. This one I was able to like press on stuff and like get like the LED that's down in this display here. Let's see if I can pop this apart real quick. Got all the screws out of it. So it should pop out. So I was able to press down on parts of the board. I couldn't really figure out what it was, so I just heated up the whole board, put on a bunch of this no clean flux. That's how I was able to repair this one. So I just heated it up a bunch and everything started working. I'm guessing that there's some junk that was behind one of the chips or something was getting shorted out. Or maybe there was a broken solder joint. I'm not 100% sure. This one was actually kind of the hardest one to troubleshoot. That was the only way that I was able to get anything to show up was by just pressing on it. This one, same thing. I just covered it with flux, cleaned it, and then I went around and like heated up all of the pads for everything and tried getting as much of the stuff cleaned up. Apart from the little bit on the case, there's no real signs of corrosion on the board, so I think the board might be in good shape. It actually starts up in the Game Boy Advanced, which I'll show a little bit later. These two, I had to move chips over to a different board. Thankfully, with the N64, the PCBs seem to be almost universal. I found a list of PCBs, like somebody went through and took pictures of every circuit board of all of NTSC games, which is all North America and Japan, Might have been just the U.S., so it might have been just the U.S. games. But I knew Madden 99 was a really cheap game. It was like $1 a piece. It wasn't too insane. I'm going to talk about this one first. This one, as you can see, there's a chip still on the board. These chips are pretty much universal for a lot of these games that don't have the extra memory chip on them, it seems like. Going through the log of pictures that were there, these chips all looked pretty much the same. Like they had the same. You couldn't really read the numbers. I didn't really look at the numbers, but everything looked very similar. So I think these chips, for the most part, are the same. The ones that you'll see that would be different were the memory chip that would usually go here, and this chip here. As you can see, or may not be able to see, this one has an MX on it. This one looks like a Nintendo branded chip. So, take that for what it is. Like if you're replacing or need to fix a game like this, for the most part, you might be able to just get a Madden game, or you can use that link that I'll provide in the section down below. So you can go and look and see what games you can swap stuff to. Now this one, as you can see, I have all of the chips removed. This chip here was slightly different. I'm guessing it's for this memory chip. The MX chip, this big chip here is the ROM. This is where the game actually lives. I also needed to transfer over what looks like a resistor, but is apparently a capacitor. It's got resistor color codes on it, and everything on the board is marked as C. I looked it up online. I couldn't find what those actually were, so I'm just going off of what's on the silk screen here. I'm guessing it's a capacitor. They don't really seem like they're an inductor or anything like that, because that's another common thing that would be set up as that. But that's pretty much what I did to fix these games. Two of them were pretty much, the boards that were there were just lost cause. Mario Golf, I think I'm able to save it. If not, I could probably do the same thing. I believe all of these boards are mostly shared for these games. I have a Oracle of Seasons that has the same exact board layout and everything, so I'm guessing, if I really wanted to keep this game going, I could probably do that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the games and just kind of show you that I'm not lying about actually fixing these. So one of these Madden games, since this game didn't have a back, I just stole a back off of one of the other ones. One of these Madden games was a property of our possible childhood. I used to live right next to a family video, so that's where I rented my games from. But property of Blockbuster, it's definitely not around anymore. Actually, I think the last one was up in Alaska or some places, or of all places. So first I'm going to show Mario Tennis. Should see while there's that one. Next one is the snowboarding game. This one has a very generic display on it. Let's see here. Yeah, no controller in socket 1. This game also requires a memory pack, it looks like, to actually save games. This next, oh yeah, I should probably plug in the Game Shark, because this one should be pretty fun. I was thinking about getting Mario Party and using this to unlock everything, so we don't have to play for hours and hours to unlock stuff. That's showing up. That's turning on here. This is more likely to be the fact that my capture card might not be capturing. There we go. Yeah, it was probably the game not being seated all the way. So those are those games. I just have to clean them up a little bit more and screw them back together. Mario Golf, I actually might be able to show you. It probably won't show up super clear. Let's. Yeah. So there's the title screen there. And everything seems to work. I can start a game and everything, so that's cool. Just have to get a battery for that so you can actually save it. So that's pretty much everything for these games. I thought about going through and actually recording me doing the desoldering and soldering of the chips and everything, troubleshooting, but that was kind of boring work. So I just kind of went ahead and I figured it'd be more interesting to kind of go through what I actually did to fix these. One of which was just pure dumb luck, just heating stuff up until it started working again. I'm not entirely convinced that it's gonna keep working like that. There, it could have been the cartridge, it could have been my capture device not displaying anything. And then this guy here, hopefully I can get a battery for it and get it going again. Now I have some cool little chips for whatever. I don't think you can rewrite to these. Otherwise, I do have a couple of ROM chips that I could play around with later. But I should probably find out if we can write over these. Uh, so that's pretty much it for today. And I think the next project I'm going to be working on is an Xbox One that was given to me that to repair. It wasn't given to me. It was given to me to actually fix it so they can have an extra Xbox. But what's interesting about it is everything's in Chinese. I can't get it to come out of Chinese, and it has to update before it goes any further, and it just keeps shutting down in the middle of the update. So that one I might pull apart and look at the inside. I have pulled these apart before to replace DVD drives, and that's what apparently was originally wrong with it, but not entirely sure the person was being truthful when they sold it to the person that is having me fix it for them. But that might be the next project. I also have a couple of Super Nintendos that I have to repair, and I also have a couple of Ataris to repair. Depending on what parts come in first, I'll choose to do one of those two first. I'm waiting for some power regulators, which is usually the Atari thing, and then I have a power brick coming in for the Super Nintendos because I haven't been able to find any of those. But if you're still interested, I should have a video out next week. Until then, have a good day.